What's up guys, Syiler here with another guide for you. This is going to be a companion pet guide and it's going to be on the Azure Whelpling, the Emerald Whelpling, the Crimson Whelpling and the Dark Whelpling. I'm going to cover where they all come from, what mobs you need to farm or what zone you need to farm. So the first one we're going to cover is the Azure Whelpling, and this is from Winterspring. Since Cataclysm it's become a zone drop and it's on a 1 in 10,000 drop rate from Winterspring. All the pets that I'm going to show you are BOE, so you'll be able to farm them and sell them, and obviously the ones with the higher drop rate are going to be the ones that you'll get the most for. So the first place we're going to head to that I think is a pretty good place for farming is Frost Saber Rock. Now the reason I think this is a good place because there's a lot of mobs pretty close together, and the respawn rate on these mobs isn't too long. So you can pretty much farm through these mobs, and by the time you've cleared them, they would have started respawning again. They're on like a 2 to 3 minute respawn timer. So it's a pretty good place, but as I said, it is a zone drop, so you can just pick wherever you want and start farming. The downside to this zone is it's linked into a couple of quests, and it's also linked into an achievement. So you may find a couple of random people just farming the mobs for the sake of it and not after the pet. But even so, it's still a pretty decent zone to start off farming. The next place we're going to go to is to the right of Everlook, and here you'll find Winterspring Village. Now this is a good place because there's a lot of mobs here pretty close together. They have an okay respawn timer. You'll also gain rep with Timbermore Hold for killing these mobs, and you'll also have a chance of picking up the spirit beads, which can be handed in for even more rep. So if you're after doing a rep grind and a pet grind at the same time, this is definitely the place to go. The final place we're going to head is to the very south of the map, and that's to Frost Whisper Gorge. Now if you follow this path that I'm flying around now, and clear through it, obviously not fly around, by the time you make it back around to where you started, the mob should have started respawning again. So they're on around a 5-minute respawn timer. So this isn't a bad place to farm either, but they're all on a 1 in 10,000, so don't forget that anywhere in the zone. The next one we're going to move on to is the Emerald Whelpling, and this is on a 1 in 1,000 drop rate, so not as bad as the Azure. This comes from the Dream Bow, which is kind of to the north of Feralas. And here you'll find Noxious Whelps. And these are the only mobs that you can farm for the Emerald Whelpling, but it's on a 1 in 1,000. They're kind of all around the outside of this lake. So you just want to run around here clearing the mobs as you go around. And that's it, pretty much just keep farming those mobs till you get it. The next one we're going to move on to is the Crimson Whelpling and the Dark Whelpling. If you head to the Wetlands, you'll find mobs called the Ebon Whelps, and they're kind of to the east of Wetlands. Now the good thing about these mobs is they have a 1 in 10,000 chance of dropping the Crimson Whelpling and a 1 in 1,000 chance of dropping the Ebon, because the Crimson Whelpling is actually a zone drop from Wetlands now since Cataclysm, and the Dark Whelpling just comes from these mobs anyway. So if you want both pets, these are definitely the mobs to farm. But if you're just after one of the pets, the Crimson Whelpling, then I'd recommend going to Welgar's excavation site, which is to the south-ish of Wetlands. Here you'll find a lot of mobs very close together. I'm not too sure on the respawn, but there's a ton of mobs here. So if you're just after the Crimson Whelpling, I'd definitely recommend that. But if you're after both, then the Ebon Whelpling is the way to go. Next up is another place to get the Dark Whelpling. We're going to move on to the Badlands now, and it's on a 1 in 1,000 drop rate like before. If you head to the left of New Kargarth in Badlands, you'll find Nyxondra's Broodling, and there's a lot of mobs here, a shed ton of mobs. Now I'm not too sure if you need to have completed the quest line up to this point, because there is a quest line that gets you to this point, so I'm not too sure if you need to do that to be able to see them. If so, then yeah, you need to be doing the quest chains in Badlands. But if not, there's plenty of mobs here for you to farm, and it's definitely the place I'd recommend if you're just after the Dark Whelpling. The final one we're going to go through is the Dark Whelpling. This is another spot for it to spawn, or to drop, and this is in Burning Steppes. To the southwest of Burning Steppes, you'll find Flamescale Broodling. Now, out of all the places, I'd say this is probably the worst. They're very spread apart, there's not many mobs to kill here. But I was just covering this for the sake of the guide. But yeah, this is the final spot you'll be able to get the Dark Whelpling from. So I hope this guide's helped you out. Don't forget to thumbs, fave and subscribe if it did. And look out for more guides coming soon. Thanks for watching guys. See ya!